Good morning. Um, Friday, end of the week, hooray. Um, it's not been a bad week. It's been pretty good. Um, you know, in the overall scheme of things, right? Uh, Hopefully, you had a good week and um, nothing out of the ordinary in a bad way happened. Maybe you had some good things, maybe some pleasant surprises, which are always good. Good morning, Sandra and Deborah. Um, it's a little warmer, I think. I actually was outside yesterday looking at the garden thinking this wouldn't be a bad time to get started doing a little work. I'm going to have to keep my eye on the weather and find days that are, in the 50s and stuff. And maybe get started. I think, it's funny how in September, the 50s felt crazy um, cold, and now it's like summer. You're like, oh, do I need a coat? It's 50 degrees out. Yeah, you need a coat. But it's funny how our perception. Good morning, Susan. Our perception changes, right? Depending on what we are, uh, what we're accustomed to, what we have been experiencing. Um, and this is true for a lot of things, right? This is one reason why our perception of events can be different um, than someone else's, which you know happens frequently. Um, I was reading a little article about, and it was about children and how how it is that children turn out so differently sometimes from um, the same family and basically the same upbringing, but that they can turn out so different. Good morning, Ruth. Um, and I guess what the conclusion that they had kind of come to from studying this over the years was that obviously, there is a base level of what is like healthy and safe in terms of, an environment to raise your child. Um, and, there is obviously abusive behavior. Um, and then, you know, non-abusive behavior, but then there's a whole scope of other things, right? Some parents are more strict, some parents are less strict. Um, some are more attentive, some are less attentive, and that regardless, each child is going to take from that what they will. So, um, and that makes me recall see these conversations that I would have with my husband about, you know, how are the kids doing? How are we doing? How do we feel like this is working out? And really coming to the conclusion that regardless of what you do, there's going to be a problem, right? Someone is going to be unhappy. Um, and you just got to use your best judgment, right? So, depending on the child's nature, your parenting style may be great for them, right? It may really um, work well. On the other hand, it might not at all. It might be very abrasive to a certain child with their temperament. Um, And there's only so much you can do to change. You know, obviously, I mean, most people aren't in a position to change their parenting style on each child. That that would be kind of tricky, and also, um, strange because you might be playing favorites with one or doing something with another. But um, trying to be aware of that to some extent is great. But in the end, everyone is going to be unhappy to some extent, right? And that's kind of just the way it goes. This is kind of the similar thing. Well, so the bottom line to that was that um, kids, again, they make their way. If they are a strong child with a lot of self-driven um, kind of force within them, they're going to overcome whatever they saw as their difficult circumstances. And someone who doesn't have that, even in the most supportive environment, might feel that it wasn't correct for them, wasn't enough, right? So we can't really control that, right? We just try our best and let the outcome be what it is. Um, in the same way, we can't really control how other people perceive us. That's their business, right? Um, if we try to change ourselves to fit um, every person's desire, we're going to have a problem, right? Um, Rather, we should be who we are, do what we think is right, do what feels correct to us, and see what that results in. Um, there will be people that don't like you, that think you are weird or um, abrasive or uh, difficult, right? That's natural. Some of those people might be unhappy about their inability to um, influence you, right? Some people thrive in these environments where they can kind of manipulate people with their actions, right? So their unhappiness or their dissatisfaction causes other people to change their behavior, and then they kind of get their way. So that could be part of it, but there will also probably be people that just simply don't like you, like they don't like something about you. I mean, that's natural. You aren't going to please everybody. You won't be everybody's cup of tea, as they say. um, and that's fine, because certainly there are people that you don't enjoy being around. Even, I would say, the most enlightened yogi has people they like being around more than others. Some people you feel more aligned with, right? Um, on an energy level, we talk about vibration, right? And that different people's mental state and emotional state is vibrating at a different level than others. And we seek out people who are on our same um, level, right? It's kind of a comfort thing. Um, so if you have someone that you really don't feel great about being around, you probably won't be around them that much, right? And that's okay, right? Everyone gets to choose these things for themselves. But be who you are. Don't feel like you need to change for someone. I read another little article. this is this wasn't really an article, it was just a little blurb, which I thought was really interesting. That um, during the lockdown and the quarantine and the pandemic, one group of people that are struggling the most are what they consider sort of sociopathic individuals, because they do not have the ability to influence people online or over the phone or something as well as they can in person. They rely on in-person contact to sort of push people in whatever direction they need them to go to get their way. So that's interesting, I thought. Maybe interesting in that we know that that is something that can happen. So we want to be careful of the people that we're around, right? You want to choose your friends carefully. Choose the people that you spend time with. Um, some people are not going to have your best interests at heart. I mean, that's just the truth of it. People will take advantage of you. And if you are on sort of this yogic journey, I think there are certain times that we are very vulnerable to this. When we are trying to open up and become more sort of loving and accepting of other people than maybe we have in the past, we can leave ourselves open to people who would exploit that, who would come in and ask too much, um, expect you to do for them or change for them. That's not the same thing as loving, right? Loving is accepting. Loving is letting people be who they are. Um, so if you feel like you've gotten yourself into that position with some people, you can take that back, take that power back to yourself, and don't don't agree to things you don't like or you don't want to do. As they say, no is a complete sentence. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to come up with a uh, reasonable sounding excuse. No, I don't want to is a perfectly fine thing to say. Um, it's not, again, if someone is taking that as some sort of a judgment about them, then that's on them. Um, in truth, we are all different. We all have different likes, dislikes. Our likes don't have to be everyone else's. Um, and I'm sure that you have noticed this, that when you state a preference or when you say something about how you have done something, there's always someone who says, um, oh, I would love to do that, but I can't because of this, this, and this, and this, right? Oh, I would love to do yoga, but I can't because my leg hurts or my arms are too long or my legs are too short or I'm too stiff or I'm too old or I'm too tired or I'm too I don't know. I've heard a lot of excuses. And again, um, they're completely unnecessary, right? Other people's actions are not indictments of your own choices. To find out someone teaches yoga is is a fine. That's just a fact, right? If I find if I find out that someone is, a nuclear scientist, I don't say, "Oh, I would love to do that," but I just didn't go to school for like 10 years to learn it, so I can't. I mean, it's it's just a thing, right? Um, we don't need to run things down or justify why we aren't interested in doing something or whatever. I mean, we just can be. Other people's choices are not an indictment of your way of life. Um, it's just their choice. And we all are free to make these choices. So don't get caught up in that either as the participant or the recipient. If someone starts, telling you all the reasons why, oh, that's fine for you, but I could never do that. You don't have to respond or participate. You can just nod and smile and start talking about something else. We all, again, we have our own way, and it seems this way is set pretty early. Um, as children, really, our self, that deep part of who we are is pretty well settled, and it will come out in different ways. So um, we don't need to fight it. We don't need to try to change it. Um, we can just work with it and do what we feel we need to do to bring that out, to be who we are. I feel very sad, right, for children and young people who know who they are, but can't bring that out for whatever reason. Maybe they live in an environment where it is unsafe for them to truly be themselves. Um, Maybe they've been told for so long that they have to be a certain thing, even if that's not a fit for them. Um, they can't break free from that. That's what being adult is about. I hope we can finally make that choice, right? When we are on our own, when we are self-supporting, we can do what makes us happy. We can be who we should be. Um, so, learning that about ourselves, getting familiar with the self, getting acquainted with who we are and what we like. Um, it can, even in an older age, it can be very enlightening. Um, a lot of people put this stuff aside. Maybe you knew at one point who you were truly, but you've forgotten. Or it's just not been that important. Everyone else seems so important, right? Everyone's demanding so much of your time and your attention that you've forgotten what it is that is wonderful and beautiful and exciting to you. Um, so take that time, right? I have noticed that times of meditation and that sort of peaceful conversation that you're having with that internal self are when I get some of my best ideas. I get feelings about things that I should be doing. Um, I get kind of brainstorms, really, you know? Um, and in many ways, right, we talk about this communication with the inner self as a remembering. And if you want to direct it, try to remember what you liked when you were a child. What were you interested in? What was a driving um, force for you? And that's a good place to start, right? Because as children, before all this other stuff happens, we often um, exhibit our best self, our most uh, our most authentic self, right? Um, so look back. If you have any, if you have like anything from your childhood, I found some boxes of like bits and pieces from when we were kids that my mom had saved, and little things that you wrote, or you know they're very interesting, and they're very crazy. Like, you look back and you go, oh, I thought I was going to be this when I grew up. Huh. I'm not that. Maybe I should look into that. uh, so yeah, check it out. Look back and see. You might get some real insights into some paths that you might explore now that you are grown up and have the time and the space to um, be who you want to be who you really are. So sitting up, feel kind of, everything feels kind of tight today. I don't know. Some days are like that. So we're sitting up, drop the chin. Then moving the head around, big circle. One way and the other. Back to center. Lean forward, move around. One way and the other. Back up to your seat. Arms wide. Bring the hands together in the front. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and exhale. Interlace the fingers. Lift the hands. Gazing up and then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. Lift. Lower. Once more, lifting up. Right hand down by your side, reach across. Switch. Hands by your side again. Let's lift the shoulders and roll back. Then roll forward. Left hand on right knee, right arm behind. Sit up tall, take a twist. Back to center, switch sides. And then back to center. Walk the hands out. And then bring the hands behind you. Let's squeeze the shoulders together, gaze up. And then back up to your seat. Tabletop. Couple sets of cat-cow. And then sitting back on the heels. Child's pose. Moving back up. Tabletop to downward dog. Walk your feet up. Standing in your fold. Rising up slowly. Standing tall, breath in. And breath out. Let's step out to the side. Hands at the waist. Deep breath. Lean forward. Rising up slowly. Breath in. And breath out. Turn to face the front. You've got the right leg out, left leg behind. Interlace your fingers. Squeeze the shoulders back. Deep breath and fold. Rising up. Back foot steps to the front. Arms up overhead. Back to mountain. Breath in. And breath out. Stepping out to the side again. This time you could bring hands behind, either, interlace the fingers, or you could grab opposite elbows, or maybe start with wrists and walk the hands back. I don't think I'm going to get to the elbows today. Take a deep breath and fold. Moving up. Take a deep breath. You ever feel lightheaded? Right? Release the hands up over your head. And then back down by your side. Turning, face the front with left leg out. Interlace the fingers. Deep breath. And fold. Rising up. Back foot steps to the front, arms overhead. Back to mountain. Breath in, breath out. And let's come down to a seat. Soles of the feet together, knees apart. Deep breath. Leaning forward. Coming back up. Lift the knees. We can get a hold of the toes or the feet. Lean back a little so you feel balanced. And then maybe extending halfway or the whole leg. If you've got the legs extended, you could work with bringing them wide. See how that feels. And then if you back down, if you tip over, don't worry. Try not to have a wall behind you so you don't hit your head, but just come on back up. Keep going. Both legs out in front. Take a deep breath in. Reaching forward. Moving back up. Let's point and flex the feet. Rotate. one way and the other. Bend the right knee. Let's hug it in. Sit up tall. And then lowering out to the side. Take a deep breath. And then reaching the left hand down. We're folding over that left leg. So when we're doing this, we're trying to keep this sort of arm in line and the body is going straight down. So you won't really be over top of the leg. Your arm will be, and you'll be folding towards center. Come on back up. So we do have a fold where we are folding over the leg, but we turn the body first, right? Everything, we always want to have everything in alignment in a very safe way. When you are reaching to the side without turning the body first, you're pulling, right, in an uneven kind of way, which isn't really a great idea. Sitting up tall and then lowering the knee. Take a deep breath, reaching down, fold forward. Then back up, both legs out. Deep breath in, folding forward. Moving back up. Let's bring the left hand to the outside of the right knee, right arm behind you. Sitting up tall, take a deep breath and a twist. Back to center, switch sides. Breath in, twist. Back to center. Bend the knees. And we're lowering down. Take a few breaths. Got both feet on the mat, right ankle, top of the left knee. Take a breath here. You might stay here if that right hip feels tight. Be pressing the knee away. Or if you have more flexibility, we're going to bring that left leg in closer to the body. Breathe. Remember, this is supine pigeon, so if we're ever doing regular pigeon and it's too much, you can always come around onto your back and do this pose instead. then set both feet down. Switching. And then taking whichever version you're going to do today. Always take a little bit of time to see what you need today. Don't just automatically assume that because you've done it a certain way, that every day you're going to do it the same way. You might have a good reason to change something up for today. And then set both feet back down. Breath in and breath out. Let's do a regular bridge, and then we'll do a supported bridge. So, hands by your side, heels back close to the body. We're going to press down with the feet in the hands, lifting up. Breathe. Lower down. Take a couple of breaths. And then find your block. Back up again. And find a good place for the block to be. Whatever height you want to set it at. You can bring the knees in to the chest, extend the legs, or just stay where you are. Lots of different ways to do this. Each one does something a little different, right? So if you've done them in the past, you know kind of what each one is going to feel like. And you can give you a good idea of what, might work today. But again, if you try something and it doesn't feel good, just try something else or move back down and don't do anything. That's fine too. We always want to be willing to change, right? Never getting locked into one course of action. Be ready to change if you need to. And lifting back up. Take the block out. Rest back on the mat, soles of the feet together. Knees apart, maybe hands above the head if you feel like it. You could extend them long or interlace the fingers, Or you could take opposite elbows. And then let's move into Shavasana. You just extend the legs, extend the arms, or you could just stay where you are too. Whatever feels the most relaxing. Seeking that peaceful state. Relaxing the body. Relaxing the mind. See if you can let go of thoughts that arise. Keep that focus on this present moment. The sensations in the body. The breath. So when we are consistent in our practice, when we are paying attention to that quiet voice within, we can really help ourselves. We can get a lot of guidance from that. When you hear that voice and when you know the sound of that voice, then we don't mistake it for anything else. We don't, um, we can differentiate, right? The sound of the mind just randomly coming up with thoughts, the sound of maybe other people and their ideas and their influences, and then that deep voice. So you may not hear it very often. And I think we've talked about this before. Some people don't really even hear anything. It's just a feeling or a image, something like there is a connection, but it is not always the same for everybody. Um, it lets you know what is real. It lets you know what you might want to pay attention to. Your mind is having random thoughts all day long. You can't follow each and every one of those. And even if you could, it probably wouldn't be a good idea. They're very superficial. They may or may not be important. They may be something you want to be aware of, but not necessarily take to heart. Observations, um, things that you notice. The mind is great at that, and it's a super important role for the mind to play. I think the mind sometimes gets a real bad rap, like, you know, it's doing, it's harming us in some way. It's not at all. That's its job. Its job is to do this quick um, analysis, observation, um, to assess what it is that we're seeing and hearing, um, to try to make sense of all of the inputs in the world. But that quick and superficial analysis isn't good for things like deep decision making. What we want for that is that very slow and quiet contemplation, right? That self that is always behind everything. Very quiet, just waiting its turn to speak, like um, that sort of really quiet kid in school who didn't chatter with the rest of the kids, but when they did say something, it was probably worth listening to. That is the voice we are hoping to hear. Um, and it happens, um, we don't know why and when it will happen, right? It doesn't just happen on cue. You can't say, okay, tell me what to do and expect an answer right away. It might take some time, but we can put these questions out into our subconscious, out into the world, into the universe. What is my purpose? What should I do? What's my next step? Um, these are things that we wrestle with, deep questions, um, situations that you may be struggling with. When you don't have an answer, turn it over to the universe, turn it over to God, to that higher power, and see what happens. See what turns up. Um, Sometimes it'll be an answer you never expected, something you never thought of. Maybe a door will open that you thought was closed for a long time. A new opportunity will come along. Um, it doesn't always answer the way you think it will, right? Because, right? It's not all about us. We are part of this much greater picture. But it's a great, it's a great place to start, and it can really help us when we feel stuck. Okay, moving around again, getting back to regular consciousness and up to a seat, hands together, breath in and breath out. Thank you for taking some time this morning, for adding yoga to your morning routine, and for sharing with me here. I hope you have a very good Friday. Namaste. Okay. Meditation of 5 minutes. Whenever I think of 5 minute meditation, I think of this show that we watched with my kids called The Big Comfy Couch. It was a weird show. It was on PBS, I think. And it was about this girl who was, I think she was supposed to be a doll that had come to life. I'm not really sure. But she had this giant couch and toys and things. And the thing at the end of the show they always did was a 10-second tidy. I think it was 10 seconds. That doesn't really seem like enough, but I think it was a 10-second tidy. And she would just run around for 10 seconds and put things back where they were supposed to be. So I think of 5 minute meditation as a 10-second tidy for your internal thing. It's not a lot, but it's enough to just get everything kind of sorted out and a little peace into your state of mind and state of being. So sitting up tall, relaxed with the breath, relaxed with the body, finding a peaceful frame of mind. Breathe and relax. Okay, we're back. Yoga and meditation for your Friday. Enjoy your day. If I don't see you tomorrow, I will be here, but if you aren't here, enjoy your weekend. And yeah, get outside. If it's 50 degrees, you should go outside at least. All right. Enjoy your day.